Now we're with Ken Konkin of Goldstorm Metals about latest exploration activities in BC's Golden Triangle. Ken, latest news flow says that you're conducting geophysical surveys on the Crown property, which actually sits right between Seabridge Gold's KSM project and Newmont's Brucejack mine. Talk to us about what you're looking for and why the location is strategic.
Yeah, absolutely. It's adjoining the southern metallogenic trend to both of those great series of deposits. The first one you mentioned is the Treaty KSM trend, very important for bulk tonnage, massive deposits. The second, the highest grade deposit in Canada currently is the Brucejack Lake Valley of the Kings deposit, which I was clearly part of strategic build out of that and discovery. So this piece of ground has the cross section across the best geological terrain you can imagine.
Well, you believe there's potential for that KSM trend to continue south through your property. What evidence gives you confidence in that?
Yeah, I got to give away the Cadbury secret. I have a personal knowledge of some drilling that had taken place on some of the claims that are right near the northern boundary that hit what I call my first frequency. And what I mean by frequency, I mean of the spatial distribution from all of those deposits have a very precise, about 3.5 kilometer distancing. So along that same vein of thought, along that same structure, so not only metallogenically, structurally, geologically, we do have a hole that ran a couple of 100 meters of almost a gram gold. So I know for a fact they do exist.
Well, the plan as it stands is to follow up with something called magnetotelluric studies. My first time hearing this when I was writing this out. For investors who are also unfamiliar with this technique, what are you essentially trying to achieve with these surveys?
Sure, I'll help you out with that. Just say MT. Magnetotelluric, perfect. Magneto, and then induced polarization, IP. Those are the two principal geophysical systems that I do go to, that I do use. The other ones, I got less faith on it. But the reality is we're looking for a large target, a bulk tonnage target. So it's amazing with my experience of drilling off snowfields how you can hide an absolute elephant in plain sight. So it is amazing when you have a 6 kilometer long Orion spine right on trend to find exactly where you need to drill a hole with respect to two things, chargeability and resistivity. That's what the IP will give you. So with that, you look for intrusives, things that would give you source to mineralization that's producing the high grade effect we're seeing on surface. So we do have that all through the Orion spine. But the big takeaway is the MT, the magnetotelluric, will give you the structures. So we're after two things. We're after twofold, the high grade structures, which we believe are mobilization of the big bulk tonnage event at depth, and to know how deep to drill the hole and where to stop. It'd be the horrible episode if you drill the hole just above a deposit. So that's the whole premise of doing the geophysics.
Well, obviously this will be essentially designing or help to design your initial drill program. Talk to us about when you expect to drilling and also what will determine your first drill targets as well.
That's a great question. I think it's one of those things where you take all your data you've acquired after the IP is now completed. I'm happy to report it was a late start because we had some stubborn snowpack, not really a warm spring or summer to really ablate that. But now I'm happy to say it's all basically disappearing. But now we're only going after the point of completing the IP, and on the heels of that, the MT for the structural component. Very important to know that because it's the orientation of drilling what you're after. It's not good enough to go after the primary target. What you want to do is hit the secondary features as well. So that'll dictate the direction or the azimuth of drilling. So you cut all the potentially mineralized fracture planes on the way down. That's the key. So not only is it important to understand the geological context, but it's really important to understand the structural component related to that, as we've learned from all our work from Treaty Creek.
Now, when we're just talking about Crown, but we've also got Electrum, and when it comes to projects, that's about 16,000 hectares.
Yeah.
Help us understand the scale of what you're exploring versus what others have done in the Golden Triangle.
Right, that's actually a timely thing to bring up, because on the heels of a great press release by Scotty Gold of the Blueberry Zone, that is the extension of to the north is the Electrum system. So that's a series of high-grade gold silver veins that we have, like sheeted structures that are parallel, sub-parallel mass of these very good gold targets. I went back and I was kind of upset. I gave away one of my better looking samples to a really nice older gentleman that came up in South America and to look at the projects, and I gave him a beautiful sample, and I was getting ribbed by one of our directors, Jeff Rowe. He said, can you mind the thing when you sample it? I said, no, and not really. I'll go back and get another one. So I did. I came back with a tombstone size big block of rock, never been drilled, threw it on the saws, and sure enough, coarse native gold and really high grade silver. So that has a real special place in my heart, but I do not want to be distracted from the big target of collecting all the data possible that we can launch a major assault on the intrusive related. I'm careful with this nomenclature because careful what you may find. And we had some surprises with the geochemistry program, mapping and sampling, because the indicators were more than we thought we'd find going forward. So it's always a pleasant surprise being the first person ever to see the ground because of the ablation rate. And that's what's happened this year.
Well, let's talk about capital, because all of this work is going to take significant capital, including the drilling coming up. What's your current cash position and also funding strategy?
Yeah, we just did a small raise of $2 million because we were at really a kind of a low in the I think the bottom of the cycle. So this is the mark of the launch with gold breaking well past 35 into the $3,600 land. Copper will come up, hopefully, but silver should follow in time. But the reality is what we need to do is capitalize on timing and not to blow our brains out when the prices are too low. So we took just enough money to get us to this point. My goal is to complete the geophysical. We've got the 2 million, we've got about 1.5 million left. So we've done very we'll pay for after the geophysics, probably around 1.2. So we will be probably looking at picking up the money for maybe 10 to 12 drill holes, because it takes that many drill holes to cover off a kilometer anomaly. So we're seeing the initial results from the IP. It's a big conductor. It's large, and it is what it needs to be the target we're hunting. So I'm very happy to say that. So look forward to Chris Curran, our VP of Corporate Development, talking to some of the financial groups going forward to see what they'll do. My goal, end game for this year, to at least get the drill holes selected where we're going to plan for, get the pads up in place, because it'd be easy to shovel the pads off in snow, plant a drill, and start drilling. If we don't get to it this year, we'll definitely get to it early next year.
Well, Ken, as always, a pleasure to see you, and thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much. Good to see you too.
For folks who want to check out Goldstorm Metals, it's goldstormmetals.com, the website, but of course, go to CEO.CA, search up the ticker symbol, as I always say, and learn what others are saying. Thanks for watching.